Hello and welcome to the Bottom Line Me podcast. I'm your host, Ann Allard. Today we're going to talk about one of the most valuable skills someone in our industry can have, and that is networking and relationship building. In the real estate and title industry, success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you know. And how you nurture these connections over time is really important. So whether you're looking to grow your referral base, collaborate with industry partners, or if you're simply trying to build a stronger professional community, relationships are everything. Joining me today is Joe Alvis. Joe has a genuine love for meeting people and has built a strong network over the years through consistent connections. He's here to share what's worked for him, how to make networking feel natural, and why investing in relationships is one of the smartest moves that you can make in business. Joe, hello there, and welcome back to the Bottom Line Me podcast.
Well, good morning, Ann. Thanks for having me back. I'm always excited to come on the podcast.
Well, it's good to see you. So before we start on our topic, there may be somebody out there in our listening audience that hasn't had an opportunity to network with you. So how about taking a minute or two and just share a little bit about yourself?
Don't want to waste a networking opportunity. Well, certainly, I have had kind of a unique, eclectic background in our industry. You know, I'm a transplant from the West Coast. I spent most of my career out in California in the Bay Area, relocated to Ohio. So boy, those networking skills come in real handy when you relocate to a new area. I've done a few things. I've started in customer service, did abstracting, searching, examining for a little while, was a regional customer service manager for a few years, got to really work on customer experience and growing and branding there. They'll talk about networking. And then went into direct sales for older public on the West Coast and relocated here. And now I'm on the education side with Agency University, helping our agents learn, grow, and prosper, as we say.
Excellent. Well, that's quite the story. You've had an interesting background, and we're delighted to have you on our team. So let's start with the big picture, or what I like to say, the why. Why do you think networking is important, particularly in the real estate and title industry?
Well, as far as our industry goes, I still believe, despite all the advances in technology that we've seen over the years, automation, AI, all the websites and programs and software, this is still a relationship business. This is still a who do you know? Do you like how they work? Are they the person that's going to get this done for you? It's still a belly-to-belly business, and networking and getting to know people is the foundation of all of this. Where if we were just a transactional industry where I'm just going to go online and pick the first title company, the first agent, and the first realtor, the first lender that Google tells me to work with, what's the fun in that? I want to get to know people. I want to work with people that I know, like, and trust.
Well, great. Well, that makes perfect sense to me. So, interestingly enough, I think networking and relationship building often get lumped together. So in your opinion, what do you think the difference is between networking and relationship building, and why do both of these skills really matter?
I said the words know, like, and trust. I want to preface the answer to that question with that. So that quote comes from a book that I love and have read a few times over, and we'll probably read it again soon. The Go-Giver by Bob Burg.
Yes. Okay.
You know that one. That's if you ever want a book, the audience out there, on servant leadership and the true value of networking, check that book out. But in that book, Bob Burg says people work with people that they know, like, and trust.
Right.
And that is the baseline of all the why you need to know about networking and relationship building. So let's break that apart. Networking, that's kind of twofold. The active networking of going to an event, meeting people, Well, that's the no, right? Like, you have to be known. So let's start with hello, get to know people. The network that you work with are the people that already know, like, and trust you. So that comes from part two, the relationship building. So networking is how you get to know people, and it's the people that you know and you like, and you know what value they bring. You know what resources they have, that they know what you do to serve them and their resources and their people. And over time, the relationship building is the liking and the trusting. I recognize you and your talents and your resources. I like who you are as a professional. I think we can work together. And then I trust you. We've done a deal together. We've worked together, and you've always delivered, and I've always delivered for you, and we can have that. So they are symbiotic, networking and relationship building, but it's kind of one, get the horse before the cart, and you grow from there. But that answered your question in a roundabout way.
I think that was great. That was great. So let's talk about how you actually meet new people. What are some of your favorite ways to go out to a networking event and meet new people?
I'll be clear. I'm an extrovert. I like meeting new people. It's easier for me, but it does take practice. I will assure everyone out there, it is a skill that you do hone over time. Certainly back in my sales days, when I was on the road, that's part of your role responsibility, right? Is to make the calls, to go to the events, to set up the one-on-ones and the follow-ups and meet people directly. That's kind of the job. But in this newer role that I have on the education side, where I'm not out pounding the pavement every day, and I'm not doing that, I certainly rely now on events that we can go to. For example, I recently was invited to the Ohio State Agency Seminar put on by the Ohio Older Public Team. Shout out to them, where, it was kind of fish in a barrel. They let us have a booth for Agency University, and it's kind of literally put up a flag and say, please come talk to me. And I got to meet a lot of great agents for Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, some folks that came out. And that was a great opportunity to just, here's the resources we have, here's how we can serve you, and here's my contact if you need to get a hold of me. So a great way to meet people. But I will tell you, my favorite way to meet people, whether it's in a sales role or in kind of this behind the scenes non-sales role, is referrals. It is truly a lost art in so many ways. I've recently had an example where I came home and I was kind of put off that somebody didn't connect me. Here's the story. I was at an event and I was talking to somebody that I did know, and somebody who knew them came over to the conversation, joined in, and they started talking. And I'm just kind of standing there twiddling my thumbs going, are you gonna introduce me to this person and say hi? And it didn't happen. And I kind of walked away like, wow, that's so pet peeve, long and short of it, pet peeve. So a big thing that I am a huge proponent of is referring people. If you know me and you know what I can bring to the table and you know who I am, when somebody new is there, connect the dots. Just pause for a minute. And this is Joe. Joe, this is Ann. Just let's get on a first name basis. Let's start with knowing somebody. And then you can make your determination if you like or trust them later. But referring people is such a huge gift when you connect people's networks together. So I love it when it happens, and little pet peeve when it doesn't happen. So take that for what it is. Refer
Well,
people.
it's a great reminder too, because sometimes, you're standing there talking to somebody that you know really well, and you turn your back on the person that you were just talking to, and it's oftentimes not intentional. It's just, we forget, hey, wait a minute, let me bring Joe back into this conversation. So that's a good reminder. Yeah.
It's a skill to sharpen. I mean, networking takes practice. These sorts of social interactions, I say, here we are on digital right now, but hey, this is part of networking 101, connecting people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you mentioned that a lot of what you do in networking now is attending events and representing Agency University, but we both know that they can be overwhelming for people, and so for someone that isn't going there as an exhibitor, how would you approach an event or a conference so that you can make the most of it?
oh, a little bit of preparation.
Hmm.
Certainly, you're going to event. You're going to an event for a reason.
Yeah.
It's industry specific. You're here to learn something. That's huge. Do a little bit of research. Prepare yourself of the type of professional you're going to meet. You could even do a little more research and have a good idea of who is going to be there.
Yeah.
And you kind of put a little bit of a target list of like, well, I'm looking for these people to say hi and connect with. But it's funny. I recently saw an interview with Tom Hanks, one of my favorite actors.
Oh,
I'm sure everybody loves it. A great guy, right?
I'm all ears.
And he said in this interview, and he puts this whole concept very succinctly. He says, some of the best advice he ever got from an angry director was, look, actor, your job is to show up on time, know your lines, and have an idea. And Tom like pauses and he's like, wow, what a concept for every profession. What a concept for life. Show up on time, which really means be there a little early. Just make sure you're on time, you're not late. Know your lines. Okay, know what's going on. Know the modus operandi. What is happening here? Why am I here? Who's here? What's going on? Know the situation and have an idea. Have something to share. Have a resource. Have value. Have something that you want to give to bring value to the people that you meet. And there you go. Like if I'm going to a networking event, just hitting those three things of, fashionably late, I think is out. I haven't heard people use that term in our business since like, the early 2000s. Know what's going on. Why are you here? Who are you here to see? And what's your value prop? What's your idea? What are you bringing to share with others? And that, if you can hit those 3 points, you'll probably have a successful networking event, seminar, conference, whatever you're here to do. I assure you'll be okay.
Well, that's great. Big shout out to Tom Hanks. That's great.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you've done those three things, but we know meeting somebody is really just the beginning. So, can you give us any tips or something that works for you on how you go about following up after you meet somebody new?
Oh, following up. Oh, yeah, crucial. I mean, there's nothing worse than like having a great conversation with somebody. We had a good time, lots of laughs,
I'll
and then
call
you
you.
get ghosted. I like, well, what happened? What did I do wrong? Follow up is a key idea, and there's a great system and strategy that we love to promote. The 24/7/30 rule. Let me break that down for you. So 24/7 and 30 breaks down like this. Within 24 hours of you meeting somebody in an event, and granted, you're going to meet a lot of people, and there's some people that I know you, I like you, but there's the people that you can move the needle for, that you can really serve value for. Within 24 hours, a follow-up, either an email, a text, if at all possible, please, handwritten note cards, thank you cards, great to see you. Those are so much more valuable now than I think they've ever been, because we've gotten away from that. So within 24 hours, you reached out, great to meet you. Here's what we talked about. I really look forward to connecting. Here's my contact information again, just so you have it in case I didn't give you my card or my hi, hello app, whatever it was. Okay, so 24/7. Within 7 days, you are following up on social media. You're connecting with them. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X. Somebody called it Twixter the other day. I thought that was really funny. Whatever it might be, you're connecting with them on social media. The beauty of that is, one, you pop up again. It's another touch. And you're learning more about them, and you're giving them the opportunity to learn more about you. They go through your page, who you are, who you work with, who you're connected to, who do you share in common? Again, networking. Who do we know in common? There's all sorts of opportunities there.
Yep.
And then 30. Within 30 days, you are making that next meeting. You are planning the one-on-one where we've got it on the calendar. We're going to meet at your office, my office, this coffee shop, whatever it might be, to pick up where we left off at the networking event where we first met and we realized that we could bring value to each other. Great. Let's have that one-on-one to really unpack that and really develop that relationship. So the 24/7/30 rule, that's my follow-up strategy.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that most of us face, because not everybody's comfortable walking into a room full of strangers. You know, what kind of advice or suggestions would you give to somebody who is just naturally an introvert or is shy and is feeling a little awkward about networking?
Mm-hmm. I will again. I'll mention it again. I happen to be an extrovert. It's
I know
people charge me. I know you know. People charge me up. I like meeting people, but I'm actually in the minority on that. You know, our couple of years now of being, you know, understanding disc training. The majority of people in the world, the majority of people are introverted. So I'll break down this into two parts. One internal and one external. So externally speaking, you are not the only introvert in the room. I want to promise you that. If you're awkward and shy about going into a networking event, you are not alone. There are plenty of people in this room that feel just as awkward and uncomfortable, and they're like, they're in the sides, like, I want to leave right now, but you're here on a mission, you're here for a purpose, you're here to meet people. So part one, externally, you are not the only introvert in the room. Find another introvert, say hello, introduce yourself. Trust me, it becomes easier. Their connection leads to another connection. You can lead them to another connection. Again, networking. It's a beautiful thing when we connect the dots and we find maybe all the introverts in the room and we can all talk about, you know, how we'd rather be somewhere else. No, I'm kidding. But it definitely helps to know you're not alone. I promise you. Internally speaking, so part two, what is internal? You know, somebody taught me a long time ago that physiologically speaking, anxiety and excitement feel the exact same way in your body. Like physically speaking, anxiety and excitement manifest the exact same way. The heart racing, the flustered feeling, all of that. But it's how you choose to label it that gives it one direction or the other. So when you feel that way and you say, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious and nervous, I don't want to do this. Well, now the glass is half empty. But when you feel that way and you say, oh, I'm excited to go into this event and meet new people. I'm excited to go on stage and deliver this presentation. I'm excited to go into this meeting. Well, now you've rewired your brain. You've given it the glass half full approach. There's a wonderful book by Stephen Campbell, Making Your Mind Magnificent, where he teaches that exact theory of, you know, whatever you tell your brain, your brain's going to work towards that. So when you feel that way and you feel, I'm anxious, shoot, you shot yourself in the foot. Oh, I feel excited. This is going to be great. You're going to succeed. So I know it's hard and I know it seems maybe a little corny, but when you feel that way, choose the right label, call it the right thing, and you'll use it to your advantage.
Interesting.
Sure.
I would imagine that takes a little bit of practice, but it's worth, you know, keeping that top of mind. So that's great. Thank you.
Happy to help.
You know, another, you know, challenge I think is that not every connection is the right fit. We've all run into people that, you know, you just don't feel that connection, or you don't feel like that there's anything you have in common. So how do you handle a situation when a relationship doesn't feel mutually beneficial, or you don't feel aligned with that person?
I mean, I go back to the know, like, and trust, right? There's a lot of people that I know. There's a lot of people that I know that I have met. They know my name. I know their name. There's a lot of people that I like. I have no reason to not like you. You seem like a great person. You're a nice guy, a great gal. We've met, we've talked. You're great. But do we align as far as you're in a position where my resources can serve you and your network? Can your services and resources help me to serve my network and help me deliver value to my people and my network? Not necessarily. It's great to know you, to know who you are. Now, the know, like, and trust is important because I do know you and I know that I like you. I've met very few people that I just outright don't like. Most people I do like, but maybe that's just the parrot in me. The beauty of knowing people is that if something does come up down the road and somebody comes into my network that really could utilize your services and your resources, and you could bring value to somebody in my network, I've got your number. I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to connect those dots because that's how we work to serve and help each other. Now, granted, it doesn't have to be keeping up a relationship just for that. I have literally, I'm kind of old school. I literally have a 3-ring binder full of business cards from my years in sales that I just can't get rid of because I never know what I need. So, by all means, not everyone that we meet, we're going to be able to serve. They're not going to be able to serve us. But unless there's really something genuinely off about them, I don't lose a number. I like, you never know. You just never know. But it's okay to feel like, don't, I guess the point is don't try and force a mutually beneficial professional relationship if it's just not there. No need to waste time and effort on it.
Yeah. Good point. So, you talked a lot about trust here. And so that's a big part of building authentic relationships. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you go about building trust and rapport with someone that you've just met? What are some tips on that? Or can you share a story where that happened to you?
If I had to think about it, I will tell you building rapport, building trust comes down to the 3 A's. You ready? I know another acronym. 3 A's. 3 A's. Be authentic, be accountable, and be around. I mean, really, it comes down to be authentic. Be you. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. You are who you are. You're good at what you're good at. These are the resources you have. Be genuine. Be authentic in what you're about and what you're here for and what you're here to do. And just be really transparent and be authentic. Be accountable. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you're going to deliver value to somebody, if you're going to be somewhere, if you're going to call somebody, whatever you say you're going to do, deliver. Be accountable. Be the person that people can rely on to get the job done, to depend on. That's a huge part of trust, right? If I know Ann, if I call Ann, she's going to answer. If she says she's going to deliver, it's going to happen. So that accountability part is huge. I mean, that's really all we ever have in this world is our brand, our reputation, our accountability. And then third, be around. Nobody likes to get ghosted. Nobody likes to just disappear and be like, wow, where did you go? I thought we were. So there's a lot of ways to keep in contact with people. Social media is your friend. Please ignore the white noise of the branding and the content and the advertisements and all that stuff. It's a great way to stay in touch with people. Pick up the phone, shoot a text, keep a count. We all have a calendar. I mean, I've got 2 calendars on here between Outlook and Teams and my phone. People's birthdays, people's anniversaries. Be around. Set it on your phone. Hey, today I'm going to call so-and-so because we met a year ago today at this event. I just want to check in, say hi. Just be around. That's a big thing for people.
Pretty easy concept, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It gets lost sometimes. People get caught up and they get in their own tangent and they stop being around, and then you're not top of mind.
Right. Yeah, great. Well, before we get to the bottom line, one more question about building strong relationships. There's a ripple effect, I would think. How has your networking or how has your own network helped you to grow personally or professionally?
Boom. A lot of stories there.
I'm sure. Just one.
Okay, fine. Big impact story. My network is what landed me with Old Republic. Plain and simple. I was working for a different company at the time, and one of the sales reps that I was working for when I was a customer service manager, she was on the sales team, Rose her name, and I was helping her grow her business. I was serving her and all the things that I could do to offer. And she parted ways with that company. and was having a conversation with the folks at Old Republic. And the story goes, as it was told to me later, that in that meeting, she was certainly promoting, who she was and what she did. But I was told later that my name kept coming up in conversation of, well, I'm successful because Joe helps me with this, and Joe helps me with that, and Joe does this, and Joe does that, that they gave me a call. And they're like, your name kept coming up in this meeting we had. And we're like, well, who is he who's doing all this work? So a long story short, that meeting went exceptionally well. And I ended up getting picked up by the folks at Old Republic Title to become a sales rep in my hometown, which was a huge win for me. Rose went on. She actually went back to real estate. She became a very successful broker again, and she's doing well. And I hope she hears this and she thinks of me. But that networking, my connection to her led to my connection to the folks at Alameda County out in California at Old Republic, and the rest is history. And here I am today working for Old Republic.
That's a great story. And, there's no question that the networking, was a huge part of a contributor to this. So that's a great story. Thanks. All right, well, let's get to that bottom line, Joe. All right. So what's one small thing that someone that's listening to this podcast who wants to build better relationships or get involved in networking, what's one thing they could start to do right now or this week?
Don't be afraid to say hello.
Don't be afraid to say hello.
Don't be afraid to say hello. Again, me, I love my duality twofold. If you're going to a networking event, if there's somebody you need to meet that's going to move the needle, that this connection is going to be an opportunity, don't be afraid to say hello. Start with no, like, trust. Start with no. They need to know who you are. You need to know who they are. Don't be afraid to just pick up the phone, shoot an email, send a text. Don't be afraid to say hello. And two, the other half of that is if it's a connection you haven't made in a while, it's somebody that you haven't heard from, haven't connected with, you've lost contact for some time, pick up the phone, you send the text, send the email, reach out on social media. Don't be afraid to say hello and pick up where you left off and reconnect and grow from there. That's my advice.
That's a great bottom line. Thank you. Well, this was a delightful conversation. Lots of good tips, lots of good reminders for me and hopefully for our audience. So thanks so much for spending some time with me today and sharing your networking journey. And to our audience, as always, thank you for taking the time to join us. And until we meet again, let's all continue to learn, grow, and prosper.